say, we are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
We're a gentle, angry people.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
We are young and old together.
We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
We're a justice-seeking people.
We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
We're a land of many colors.
We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Straight together.
We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
This together.
We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Loving people.
We are gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
All right, y'all. Can y'all hear me in the very back? It might be a little hard, but we'll try to be loud so y'all can hear. Wow, y'all, look around to what this city put together with some people with some ideas in less than 12 hours. So, thank each and every one of you for coming out, for caring about this. I had somebody message me yesterday and asked me how quick I thought we could get something together for today. And I said maybe we could get together 20 or 30 people. That's what I told her. And so, y'all rock. So today I had to message her and strike that statement because I seen the numbers grow and this is just amazing. Y'all are amazing. So thank you every time for showing up when there is a call to action. We have to do this. This is the time we have to do this. There is no choice. We cannot sit home. We cannot be quiet. So to those here and to those here in spirit, thank y'all so much. So you guys are the hope. All right. So we're going to get this started with a prayer from Albert Ortiz from the American Indian Movement. I believe that's the Indiana and Kentucky chapter. So thank you.
can hear me, huh? I don't need no microphone.
No, let's turn it down. They can't hear you in the back. So
They can't hear me in the back?
I can't hear you in the back. Okay. You can hold it.
The Creator has blessed me with a loud voice. First, I want to thank all of you for coming out today. I want to ask at this time, those of you who have recorders, to please turn them off. For what I'm about to do today is I'm about to speak to our Creator in my language. This is a language of old times, of old people, my ancestors. Oh, daki, ki onde, toham ki, kaigu, kopeon kui, toham de, doke pi, waste. Great God, Creator of all, I thank you for allowing us to gather here today as a people. No color, no sex, no divides, Grandfather. We are all human beings. Doki, I ask that you watch over all these people here today. You watch over their families. Watch over the people in Charlottesville, Virginia, Grandfather. Allow those who have passed, who have gone on because of the violence over there, Grandfather, to have a seat at the fire councils of our people. For they paid the ultimate sacrifice of their lives, Grandfather, to rid this world of hatred and violence. Grandfather, I am no one. But I come to you in a humble way and ask that you watch over everyone. Grandfather, you have taught us that a true warrior is a peaceful man first. And that is why we gather here today, in peace. Doki, grandfather, all these people here, in fact, are peaceful warriors. And they have come together, grandfather, so that people will know that the people of this city have a heart. Grandfather, it's horrible. It's deplorable of what's happened over there. That in this day and age, we must see this hatred and this violence towards human beings. Grandfather, yesterday when I saw on the news what was happening and the day before, my heart sank, grandfather. My heart sank because I knew what was going to happen. And it broke my heart, grandfather. It broke my heart to look at my grandchildren, grandfather, and know that they're having to grow up in this world. But with the people that you have assembled here today, we will rid this world of racism and violence. There is no room for hatred, grandfather. I ask that you lay your hand upon all of my brothers and sisters here, grandfather. And that when we leave here today, that we live in peace and understanding and love. As my Lakota brothers and sisters say, Mini Washoni, grandfather, the water is the life, and we have all come from the water. Grandfather, I ask that you forgive me. Oh, mitaki, I say. Oh.
Thank you, Albert, so much. Thank you. Big round of applause. Amazing start. I wanted to mention, thank you guys. One thing, so back here in the corner, we have some projects going where you can write a message of solidarity and support to the people of Charlottesville. We also have some kindness rocks because we are all about love and kindness and unity and everything in the end. So, all right, keep it going. See where she is. There she is. All right. Turn it over to Rabbi Miriam Terlinchamp.
This is Magnolia. So when I saw the footage from the last 2 days of young men hiling and chanting things like, "We can replace the Jews," as the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, there are no words of what I felt. Because these weren't black and white images. These weren't old Nazis waiting to come back out for a last hurrah. These were young people. This was now. This was a moving car. This was us. And as painful as that was, I think also about Michael Brown and Sandra Bland. That was us too. And transphobia that happened recently of denying trans members the right to be part of the military. I'm smashing my sound system here. That was us too. That we have to see ourselves in everything that's happening right now, in the hate and in the love. We're all part of all those things. That we are grandchildren of the Holocaust, so we know what hate can do. And we're also children and grandchildren in this space of the civil rights movement. And so we know what love can do. That this is a teaching from Pastor Daniel Hughes. He said that Dr. King died for his dream, but the dream is still there. And we are the inheritors of those dreams. So that dream belongs to us now. So the legacy that my grandfather left me wasn't just survival. It was to change the world, and that is on us. And the legacy that Dr. King left us was to change the world. This is on us. There's a group of faith communities who are present here today, and we'll be there tomorrow at Clifton United Methodist. And we'll be in prayer in the many languages of faith, with the many names of God that none of us can agree on, to be in conversation about an alternative, that it's important to show up. Thank you for showing up, and showing up, and showing up, and showing up. But let's change what this new normal is that we're used to coming down here. Let's change that conversation together.
Thank you, Rabbi Miriam. All right, I'd like to bring up two guys that I've had the honor and privilege of meeting this year for their own perspective on things. And Thurman just reached out to me today and said that, you know, he started his activism life in Charlottesville. So we wanted him to come and say a few words. And Bryce Phillips is going to come up. Bryce, you're going to talk after him? Come on up.
Try to take my MC duties.
Thanks, Billy, and thanks everybody for coming out on short notice. This is really incredible turnout. These events over the last couple of days had special significance for me since I spent 9 years in Charlottesville in the 60s and 70s. I spent a long time in Charlottesville in the 60s and 70s, and it's where I first became active doing this kind of work. In fact, I helped organize a couple of anti-war demonstrations in the same park where all this crap went down on Saturday and Friday. My local activism, other people will talk about the Interfaith Worker Justice Center. That's where I'm a volunteer organizer helping out unorganized and low-wage workers. But I want to give you a little commentary on Charlottesville and the contradictions there that are common in many of our other cities. Of course, Charlottesville is very proud of Thomas Jefferson, and I can recall being very moved by quotations like, "We will follow the truth wherever it leads," over an archway at the University of Virginia where I was a grad student. Of course, in those days, his slave mistress, Sally Hemings, was not recognized. The fact that 10-year-olds manufacturing nails at his plantation was not acknowledged. They were beaten. He was aware that the 10-year-olds were beaten because they were, so the hypocrisy of Jefferson's Village is something we still see today in Cincinnati and Charlottesville. To give an example of the kinds of activism that were going on 46 years ago in Charlottesville, besides the university reform and anti-war things, one of my very first civil rights activism in Charlottesville was canvassing white neighborhoods not adjacent to the university, asking white families how would they respond if a black family moved onto their block. We're trying to speak to the questions of residential segregation that, in my opinion, are behind these institutional racism that causes incidents like in the past couple of days. From my point of view, it's not just about the James Fields and Ray Tenzins of the world. It's about structures of racism in our society that are perpetuating these kinds of stereotypes. That's what. I think James Fields grew up in Florence, Kentucky, and recently moved to Toledo. I expect we're going to hear a lot more in the next couple of days about the society in which James Fields came to understand the sort of divisive stereotypes that he showed in driving his Dodge into that crowd of people. But let me end by just commenting on institutional racism, which indeed I started to learn about in 1971 in Charlottesville. It's something that's existed for a long time and continues to exist. Around here, it seems to me that 3CDC and their idea of so-called development in downtown Cincinnati would be an example of institutional racism. Unfortunately, that looks nicer than it did. For whom does it look nicer? The last time I walked by the kitchen of the Mercer, the 1300 block on the east side, the kitchen's open to the sidewalk. All white employees in the kitchen of the Mercer in the 1300 block. That's not development for all of the community. That's development for just a part of the community. I'm sure others have other examples. But let me close by just urging all of you to stay active around these issues. It's not just about James Fields and Ray Tenzing. It's about structures of racism that we need to address and each our own way figure out how to do that. Thank you.
Y'all, we apologize. If you cannot hear in the back, we apologize. We are working with what we have here. So I do apologize if you can't hear. So all the speakers, extra loud.
Can you hear me?
Hello, everyone. My name is Bryce Phillips. I'm speaking on behalf of DSA, Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. That's Democratic Socialists of America. I, too, am descended from a people that were killed in the Holocaust. I'm Roma or Gypsy, so it is very heartening to see all these people standing against that kind of fascism. What we saw in Charlottesville was the best and worst that the human species has to offer. We saw, obviously we saw these Nazis and these hateful people. We also saw people willing to put their body and their lives on the line to defend their neighbors and to defend freedom and democracy for everyone. And we had many comrades from DSA and from the Industrial Workers of the World, an organization with a over 100-year history of fighting for human rights. But everyone there was our comrades, and it's a very painful day for all of us. But the death of Heather Heyer is not going to be in vain, because we're going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to speak out, and we're going to continue to organize. It's important to understand what our enemy is. Our enemy is white supremacist. Our enemy is male chauvinist. Our enemy is homophobic. And our enemy generally hates freedom and democracy in general because they're fascists. But we need to understand our enemy is not just some low-life trash holding a tiki torch. That is only the tip of the iceberg. Behind those vile characters stands the power of organized money. And organized money has an agenda. Organized money wants to turn our libraries into condos for the rich. Organized money wants to enslave us in the workplace. Organized money wants to keep women and people of color in a state of super exploitation. Organized money wants to build its damn pipelines over our sacred water, no matter how much. Organized money doesn't care about the future. And there's only one power on this earth that can stop organized money, and that power is organized people. Organizing people isn't just about liking something on Facebook. It's about building community with your neighbors, family members, co-workers. It's about building organizations, and it's about building unions and building associations of all kinds that stand for human rights and justice. And also I want to say that in times of economic crisis, like in Germany in the 1930s, you will see fascism grow. And the reason it grows is because you have these opportunists, these scumbags, these liars, and they point, but they tell a partial truth. They point to a real pain caused by economic crash, caused by unemployment, declining wages. And so they point at scapegoats. They point and say, oh, the Jews are doing this. The immigrants are taking our jobs, this and that. And it's important for us to not just say no to this bigotry. We must say no to this bigotry, but we must also say yes to something. We must say yes, we have a vision of a better world. And we must also name the problem clearly. The problem is not just the man with the tiki torch, although I wouldn't feel too bad if he got hit by a rock, just saying. The problem is the whole damn capitalist system. It's guilty as hell. Let's all work together, whatever political parties or beliefs we have, because a better world is possible. A world where everyone has a guarantee of basic rights like housing and clean water and respect for their culture and respect for their right to participate in a democracy. So on behalf of DSA, thank you very much for standing with all of our comrades who were injured and killed in the struggle. Thank you very much.
We break it up here a little bit, get a little chance, get y'all's blood going a little bit. We're gonna have Muse lead us with that.
Ain't gonna let nobody, Lordy, turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody, Lordy, turn me round. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let no racist lady turn me round. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let no injustice turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let no injustice turn me round, keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let no president turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let no president turn me round. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land.
See this gentleman right over here. I'm going to bring up Nelson Pierce next to talk with us.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
It was about 3 years ago today that left my home and church here in Cincinnati to go to Ferguson, Missouri, to stand with a group of young people who refused to let the murder of Mike Brown at the hands of police officer Darren Wilson be considered as business as usual. When the police said, "We're doing all we can," these young people said, "It's not enough." When the elected officials said, "There's a limit to our power," these young people said, "It's not enough." When the clergy said, "We can meet and talk and pray," the young people said, "It's not enough." And when Prosecutor McCullough blamed the grand jury for his failure to charge or convict Darren Wilson, the people said, "It's not enough." And in response to the young people protesting in the street, in response to the efforts of people to register voters to elect new leadership, in response to the collective efforts to peaceably assemble, the little city of Ferguson amassed a police force with weapons and armored vehicles that looked more like an invading army than any group gathered to protect and serve. And they tear gassed us night after night. They arrested our children and our college students and our clergy. They imposed their will regularly and repeatedly just to remind us that they could. And yet this weekend in Charlottesville, when domestic terrorists assembled to visit hate and violence upon the residents and people gathered together in peace, the government and the police force said, "We did what we could. We tried. And we're here together to say it's not enough." Where were the hordes of riot police that were used to police protesters in Ferguson, Missouri? Where were the weapons and the armed vehicles used to stop people from peacefully protesting? Why could not they amass that force for this group of outside agitators, for this group of domestic terrorists? Their apologies and their sorrow today is too little, too late. It's not enough. And we need to today and in the future continue to call out these institutions and others for their failure. But can I tell you what? Calling them out is not enough. Calling them out is only one step of accountability. And while I'm glad we're here today, gathered in this moment, gathering here is not enough. Coming downtown to march is not enough. I believe it was Dr. King who said, if a person has not found something they will die for, they are not fit to live. And so today I'm asking each one of you to look inside yourself and ask, what's the sacrifice that I can make? What's the sacrifice that I need to make? To attend one more community meeting, to talk to one more friend and neighbor about the values that bring us together, to bring one other person with you the next time we come together, to stop giving your support, your energy, your time, and your money to leadership who are not investing in your political education. And then let us come together and let us stand. Let us stand until we can't stand anymore. Let us work. And let us work until we can't work anymore. Let us talk. And if we need to, let us shout and scream until we can't shout anymore. And let us listen. Let us listen until our hearts break from the stories we've heard. Then when we come together, when we stand together, when we work together, then when change comes, then we can say we fought the fight. Then we can say free at last. Then we can say we're going to be all right. Then when heaven and history ask us in this moment, in this time, in 2017, what did you do? You won't say I didn't do enough. You won't even say I did enough.